Let's talk more about where the Orioles find themselves. Joining us now, one of our favorites, former Orioles all-star reliever. You know him from the Birdland Territory podcast as part of the Foul Territory Network. He's our buddy Brad Brach, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Brad, it's Glenn. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us, as always.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, as always.
Brad, we're in this weird spot, right, where the Orioles played really good baseball, and you don't ever want to panic over good teams lose 3 games in a row. That happens, right? Like, everybody's going to do that. Even the Dodgers are going to do that. But it's more like the cost of it, because you put yourself behind the 8 ball so much, that when these things happen, it's a bigger concern. And like a 3-game losing streak can't become losing 6 out of 7 because this team is too far away from really being in the mix to contend, that even something like that, it feels like could really doom them at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think it's necessarily the fact that they've lost 3 in a row. I think it's just more so the culmination of the season to this point, starting to see the good things happen there for the last 2 weeks, and then you run into a 3-game skid. And really, the last 2 games, you feel like you should have at least won one, maybe won both. But to lose both of them, it just makes you start thinking, oh, man, what's going to happen now? Are they going to go through another bad stretch? So I think it's just more so the fact of what has happened to this point, more so than, losing the 3 games in a row. It's just you're behind the 8 ball right now because you're still 5 games, 6 games under 500. And just being 8 or 9, 10 games like they were at one point, you just can't really afford to have these types of losing streaks, like you said, turn into 6 out of 7, because now you're really behind the 8 ball, and it just kind of makes you worry as a fan because they haven't put themselves in a better spot at this point, that these kind of 3-game losing streaks kind of make a monster out of a molehill or a mountain out of a molehill type thing. And I think that's the worry of fans at this point.
Brad, I'm interested in a couple of things that have happened recently and your take on Craig Albernaz maybe finding his way as a manager a little bit. And one of the things that I think a lot of people have reacted to is the fact that it seemed like he sort of called out Samuel Basallo on Sunday and, said, hey, everything's fine, everything's checked out. He said yesterday he's dealing with a bony growth in his wrist, and I'm not even really sure exactly what that is, to be honest with you. But that's he sort of seemed to get after him a little bit and say, hey, he's just got to learn how to push through in these spots. And it's interesting because I poked around with some folks who said, hey, this kind of is what Craig Albernaz has done. Like, he's sort of tried to push Samuel Basallo's buttons. And I think a lot of us would argue, hey, that seemed to work pretty well to this point, right? But what did you make of him doing that? And, maybe the perhaps Craig Albernaz sort of finding his way into being the guy. I'm not just the new guy anymore. I'm the guy that wants to demand a little bit more out of this group.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where I think maybe he is starting to figure out how to push guys' buttons in the right way and kind of get them motivated and fired up and just kind of give them that little extra push. And I thought the comments maybe were a little strange, I guess, because I didn't see it coming from anywhere. To me, watching the swings he was taking the other day, to me it looked like there was something wrong. But, I mean, I get what he's saying where, if it checks out, everything's fine. You kind of just got to play through it. It's kind of what it is at the big league level. There's not when you're in the minor leagues and something's kind of bothering you a little bit, they take extra precaution. But where they're at in the season right now, he's one of their best hitters.
Right.
If everything checks out, you got to go out there and you got to be ready to play. Whether that means you're 100% or 75% or 50%, if everything checks out on the medical side and you get the start, there's really no excuses at that point. So I get where he's coming at from that perspective. It was just kind of felt like it was kind of out of nowhere. But, I mean, he's obviously around these guys way more than we are, and he knows which buttons to push. And like you said, he pushed the right ones there for 6 or 8 weeks. So maybe this is just a little extra push that he needed to kind of get extra motivated and go out there and do what he can do.
I thought it was interesting because then it was followed up last night by this situation with Blaze Alexander on first base where he says, look, I think it was the right thing for Blaze to tag up, but he's got to know you got to go back to first base. If the throw's online, you got to go back. You can't be out in that spot and end up costing the team a run. There's nobody standing on first base. You can go right back. It just seems to me like you're seeing a little bit more of Craig Albernaz kind of finding his way a little bit and saying, look, we have to demand more from this group. This group should be better than this.
Yeah, and I think if you look back earlier in the season, some of his press conferences, I think he would have shied away from saying
Right.
this stuff to the media. So I think you're right. I think he's definitely finding his stride as a manager here. He's kind of finding what type of manager he wants to be. And I think sometimes when you go out and you say these little things, next time Blaze is going to think twice about trying to take that extra base there when it really didn't matter at that point because you're still not the tying run. Yes, you want to get in scoring position, but I think it's just kind of calling these little things out here and there that, hopefully guys think twice about doing it again next time because we've seen a lot of these little tiny things turn into losses. And I think that's what he's really starting to emphasize now is we can't afford these little mistakes to happen because we keep shooting ourselves in the foot. Yes, it would have only been a 2-run lead and they still might have lost the game anyway, but 2-run lead compared to a 3-run lead is big when you're a reliever late in the game, especially on the road. So I think he's just kind of finding which buttons to push, and I think he knows which guys he can do it to. Like
Sure.
We've kind of seen him not really call out other guys, so maybe he's starting to figure out which guys can handle criticism, which guys can't. So it's been cool to see and fun to watch here this last 3-4 weeks with him.
Brad Brach is with us, of course, former Orioles reliever. You know him from Birdland territory. Brad, your thought on pulling Trey Gibson after 68 pitches last night? It's interesting because I get it. Like, he had put a couple of guys on. It was a 1-1 game, and this is his third major league start, right? Like, you don't have any track record that says he's definitely going to bear down. He's going up against Emerson Hancock, and I get the thought. On the flip side, it's 68 pitches, and you're in the middle of a stretch where you got 13 games in 13 days, and you're not getting Chris Bassett back for any of that, right? Like, what did you make of the thought process?
Yeah, to me, I like looking back at it when I look back and as I'm watching the game, as I go back watch the replay, it's almost like I thought like he had 88 pitches, but 68 pitches to me is too short. I feel like it was almost maybe a premeditated thing where they didn't want to have him face the lineup 3 times. And I think if he got in any kind of spot there, maybe they're going to the pulpit. This is just me, just kind of looking at it from an outsider's perspective. I don't know what the plan was, but it kind of seems to have Nunez ready for that spot. He was warming up beforehand. So that means you're warming him up when Trey's at maybe 58, 59 pitches. That's a short amount of pitches. And I think maybe that's just their thought process going in there. They didn't want him to lose a game or to put them way behind there. But to me, it's just at this point, their depth is being challenged so much on it across the roster, and especially on the pitching side of things. It's going to get really difficult to keep having starters go out there and not get you into the 6th inning and push them to 100 pitches, because that means you're stretching the guys in the bullpen. You're stretching the guys in the starting. I just feel like it starts to add up a lot. And I think last night I thought it might have been a little bit early, but I think that's just what they maybe went into the game with the game plan. They stuck to it. So I don't know. You can always second guess everything when it doesn't work out, but to me there, I didn't see anything that was glaring. I thought it was softer contact. I didn't think he was giving up doubles in the gap. He wasn't giving up home runs. I thought he was managing guys on base pretty well. So I don't know. I think it's one of those things I think you're going to see play out here in the next week or so, because now you've had to throw guys in the bullpen for 3 1/3 or 4 1/3 last night, as opposed to maybe only 4 or 3 innings. So I just think it kind of adds up, and you don't really know the true result until maybe a week or 10 days after.
I think it's a great point. Brad, what do you make of how I feel like there's an argument and there's a talking point about how a team handles something that doesn't go their way. And we all know what happened on Sunday, and it can't be changed, right? Like, it happened. I will forever think that it was an insane call, but that's the call. And the Orioles don't score another run the rest of the way. They're outscored 5-0 from that point. And they say they moved on. They're not thinking about it. But can you take me inside? Like, when something that glaring doesn't go your way, are you as a baseball team just capable for moving on about it? Are you still waking up the next day pissed off about it? Do you worry about that stuff? It's one of these things that we talk about a lot, but what is the reality for a team when you go through something like that?
Yeah, I think in the moment you're pissed, and I think guys on the team are you're almost kind of confused about why it wasn't called or why it was called the way it was called. And I think in the moment it's tough. And we had a show on Sunday and talking about it, just the mindset being in that spot when something doesn't go your way, you almost speed up in your mind everything that's happening on the field, because you're you're so hot out there and everything's kind of just going at a faster rate and you can't think about the next pitch. And I think the only way you're able to get through that is having experience. And I think just kind of going through it. So Shane Baz, yes, he has a decent amount of service time, but his innings and his amount of starts, it's not a ton. So I think the game kind of just sped up on him there a little bit, and you want to blame it on everybody else. But at the end of the day, like you said, it was called the way it was called, and the game result is going to stick no matter what. There's no going back and changing it. So I think as a team, you're kind of at the end of that game, just kind of like you're pissed, you're confused, you're just kind of wondering why. The one in the ninth inning was no doubt he's out of first base. Everybody saw it. But as you're watching the game, why wasn't the same call called in the sixth inning and things just kind of spiraled out of control? Do I think they were thinking about it yesterday? No, I don't think so. I think the travel day helps. I think going back home helps. So I think they weren't thinking about it yesterday. But I think when the result's done and now you're looking back, damn, we just lost 2 games in a row, and it all can kind of go back to that one spot. So you kind of sit there and you kind of steam in it a little bit. But, I mean, baseball is the best and the worst thing is that you're going to go out and you're going to play another game today. So I don't think it's something that's going to linger with them.
You might have something new to be pissed off about.
yeah, exactly. And I think it like kind of compounds, and I think that's when it turns into more of an issue. Is now the game last night, it's like, man, we were 1 pitch away, we gave it the grand slam, and it's like, well, if you think back to the game in front, and it's just kind of like it can snowball. And I think that's how win streaks and losing streaks kind of can compound on each other. So you got to just hope tonight that they get out, hopefully score some runs early, put some pressure on the Mariners, and just kind of let it go and get back to playing good baseball.
Yeah, you can't get it back, right? Like, you can only do what's
next.
No,
definitely not. And that's the most frustrating part.
Yeah. Well, and then obviously we always say, like, the dumb adage that dopes like me, who they put a microphone in front of, say is, well, you're as good as your next day starting pitcher, right? And so the Trevor Rogers thing to me is very interesting because other than the 7th inning 2 Fridays ago, and I get that this is not how – you don't get to just ignore the parts you don't like. That 7th inning did happen. But other than that, the last 2 starts have been very good for Trevor Rogers. Are you seeing something where you know he says his issue was he was moving too quickly, that he was just moving too quickly the next pitch, and maybe similar to what you're talking about with Shane Baz. Did you see that? Do you buy that as being a real solution that may have turned things around for Trevor Rogers to be able to get back to that level that we saw from him a year ago and for the first couple of starts of this season?
Yeah, I do. I think I am buying it. And I think just kind of watching his starts, you can kind of see things slowing down again. I think it's second nature for any baseball player, especially pitchers, that when you're struggling, you feel like going quicker is going to make it better. And that if you can just get through this quicker, then I'll start getting on a streak. But in reality, it's all about just kind of slowing down and just taking it pitch by pitch. I've had multiple guys. I play with multiple coaches. It's all about just being able to throw that one pitch. And when you release the ball, there's nothing you can control besides what's in between your 2 ears. So it's kind of one of those things where I've been seeing him out there just being more aggressive earlier in the count. And I think that's led to a lot more success and him able to slow the game down by getting ahead. I think before he was falling behind, and then you're putting added pressure because you know you've had the 3 or 4 bad starts in a row and, oh man, here we go again type thing. But the last couple of starts, he's really seemed to slow down, get ahead of hitters, and then he can kind of control the at-bats, as opposed to when you're struggling like he was, you feel like you're always behind. You feel like the hitters always have the advantage, and it's just kind of like this weird mental space to be in. But I think just watching him the last few starts, I've really seen a change getting back to the pitcher he was at the beginning of the year and what I saw of him last year also.
That is encouraging, and hopefully that continues tonight. Brad Brach, I want to talk about something pleasant to wrap this up, because a former teammate of yours had a really special night last night. Trey Mancini, in his first Major League game in 3 years, goes 3 for 4 with an RBI and a run scored. And the crazy part is Trey Mancini was out of Major League Baseball for 3 years, and it's probably not even near the top of the pieces of adversity that he has faced in his life. One of the greatest guys that's ever come through this organization. What does it mean to you to see Trey Mancini have a night like that last night?
Yeah, like he gives me chills when you as you're saying that. I was watching the highlights last night because I saw he got called up, and then I forgot to look at his results, and I watched his first RBI hit, and you're just really happy for somebody like Trey. You can't help but be happy for a teammate that he is, but the guy that he is, and for him and his family to get back to, he has gone through so much in his life so far in such a short part of his life that to see him be able to get back to the major leagues and then go out there and have hits and success, and just seeing the smile on his face after that base hit through the hole to get his first RBI, it makes you happy for him. There's no other word to describe it. You're elated for him and his family, and just being able to get back there. I can't imagine what he's gone through the last 3 years, bounce around the minor leagues, just going through all that, and then finally being able to kind of reap the reward of getting back to the big leagues where he deserves to be and where he has earned a spot up there. And hopefully he can go the rest of the season and continue his career, because he's only 34 years old
right.
too, which is kind of crazy when you think about it all. He's gone through so much of all this stuff, but he's still got a few good years ahead of him. So hopefully he can get rolling out there out west and just kind of revitalize career and kind of finish it the way he wanted to, because I'm sure if he didn't have this chapter of it, it probably didn't end the way he wanted to. So it's really happy for him, and so glad to see him back up there.
You're giving me goosebumps now. You talking about him, like, God, I love that dude. So
I can't even imagine. You go through enough in a career, let alone
right.
have cancer and go through cancer treatment and dealing with all that stuff. I can't imagine what his emotions were like last night, because you go a couple years or a season and a half without being, and getting back up, it just means everything. You have a different perspective of it all. And I remember my last season in Cincinnati when I had gone down to AAA and I was in COVID camp, and you just feel like you're never going to get back. And when you get back up, you have so much more of an appreciation of what it takes to get there and what it's like to be in the major leagues, and just really get to it's almost like getting called back up all over again. And you just have a different perspective. You're older. He's been through so much, probably more than anybody in the big leagues has been through. And to see him be back up there, I really hope he goes down a stretch here and just really gets to enjoy the time he has up there.
When's the next Birdland Territory?
Thursday morning we'll have one. We filmed one today, recorded one today, and we have one Thursday. So thanks everybody listening. We love having everybody check in, and glad, like you said, somebody put a microphone in front of my face. So hopefully I have some good insight. And
but you're not a dummy with a microphone in your front of your face. I'm a dummy.
Oh,
you
thanks.
actually know what you're talking about. The rest of us, with all respect to my friends, Steve and Tim, who you work with, same for them. We're just dummies with microphones in front of our faces. You actually have knowledge about the subject, and that's why I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Brad, always appreciate you, man. Let's talk again real soon. Thanks so much for doing it.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, thanks again. Thanks for having me.